Marie McHugh, the state to buy Citywest Hotel to confront the migrant crisis. It doesn't seem like a significant thing at first glance because it is just a hotel. But what makes Citywest unusual is if you want to run a big giant expo and house the people at the same time, it's sort of literally the only game in town. You have to head west of the Shannon or at least Kerry to find an alternative venue.
Yeah, and location. You know what I mean? You can go to the RDS and there's a lot of events in the RDS too, but you're right in the city. And, you know, isn't that just the bane of our life? Certainly for bringing people in, and time is so valuable. I get the concept. I get the idea. They're going the right route rather than renting all these rooms. We see the amount that's been spent is massive. So the concept is good, but going to the biggest event centre that we have, it's massive because do you start all over again? Do you build another one again? How is that going to with the government coffers versus, you know, what it's fixing one item, but, you know, opening a whole new...
Because if I rent a big event centre in Dublin, I then have to look around and say, well, what hotels will I use to put my people in? Whereas the advantage of Citywest was you were able to do it as a block deal. Give me 1,000 hotel rooms, the Absolutely. Expo Centre, and we'll do the whole thing in one go.
And look, for business, for, you know, international events coming in and like all that factor is huge. And as you say, look, you can go down to Killarney, fine, you have the NEC down there and west of the Shannon, but like just for this part of the country, absolutely needed and required. And it does need to be reviewed because, you know, even the event itself and fine, get the rooms, but all the infrastructure that has to be built for these things and the number of staffing that have to come from the electricians to the event contractors and all that. And fine, a lot of them kind of are on the periphery of Dublin, but just the ordinary day's traffic getting to the venue to set up and the costs that factored in. Massive impact.
I can hear people in Cork roaring already that it's a pity about you because they're still waiting for a convention centre of any kind, never mind with a hotel next to it, but it is the only one other than, I think it's it in the INEC. That's pretty much it that I've
and please, if the government decided they're going to build another one, don't build it near the Children's Hospital or some location like that, please.
The numbers are significant. They're on the front page of the business post there, Anna-Marie, but the cost of the purchase and the total expenditure on refugee accommodation, what are they suggesting that it's coming to?
It's just phenomenal. Like you're talking about, you know, the cost of Citywest, 100 million. The state spend on refugees accommodation this year, 1.8 billion. The state spending on refugees in 21, 186 million. Like the figures are just, they're mind blowing, really. And I know, look, the concept is right, and they've listed a number of hotel groups that they're looking at. I hope we're not going to be going back again, looking at the whole situation. You know, the review of what the government spent on such a group of hotels. Like these have to be logical spends too, not people see the government coming at them and say, oh yeah, we'll increase the cost.
But I suppose as well, these are the kind of stories that 2 or 3 years ago we looked at as being temporary solutions, as a stopgap, whereas the reality is, I assume, it is going to be thus for several years to come. I mean,
it is, but how many of these rooms are actually being utilised also? Isn't that an issue? I know right around the country you have places, I know not that far from me, and there might be 100 rooms available and there's 10 rooms filled. So that's a huge
And of course
issue.
the impact it has then on the provision of hotel services in towns,
that's
what that
massive.
means for tourism.
Now that's changing a bit too. Only in the last couple of months I've discovered a couple of hotels that I didn't approach in the last year and a half because they were being used for the international housing, international people. But that's changing in some of those hotels. So I'm wondering, is there a bit of a shift?
But it kind of makes no sense because we've heard from the heads of government, Taoiseach Simon Harris, Micheál Martin, even Roderick O'Gorman have said, you know, we have to move away from using hotels to house asylum seekers. We've heard this for months. And like Citywest has been used now for 2 years to house asylum seekers. And it looks like this is the government's sort of answer to really to get away from making those interim payments to kind of put it on a more steady footing. So it's not necessarily creating any extra accommodation. It's just buying what's already there and saying, look, we're just gonna regularize this. Clearly we're going to be using Citywest for a long time to come. And it really doesn't tally with what we've been hearing, that they're saying we shouldn't be taking any more tourism beds out of the sector.